One is my mother not so fine for her health. So I write, but we cannot live. We cannot go.
Tin Ong and San Sa Mien couldn't go to Burma, but I could. I went to see the country that I'd heard so much about. My friends at the border held memories of their homeland like fragile pieces of colored glass. I wandered the streets, remembering the things they missed so much. Long afternoons at the corner tea shop, the scent of fresh mohinga noodles, the banter at the market, and their loved ones. I went to find San Sa Mien's family, who for years had believed the government's report that she died during the 1988 uprising. We arranged to meet outside Rangoon, and I gave them her photo with Tin Ong and the twins. They were overwhelmed with joy, and just as quickly shaken by fear. My camera could mean trouble for them, so I left quickly, thinking about the intense choices that Burmese face every day. It's difficult to show how the military regime affects day-to-day life in Burma. Visitors could easily believe that all is well. But taxi drivers urgently whisper about the government's iron fist as they drive past billboards that say, "Crush all destructive elements." No one dares to speak openly against the government, but everyone wants to tell you how they really feel. The junta makes clever use of its most effective form of control, a dull paranoia that cloaks the mind like an unseen but palpable gas. Everyone is being watched. Even the spies are spied upon. Telephones are tapped. People take notice of strangers, and conversations quickly change when a military informer enters a room. The Burmese navigate this surreal environment with a sharp wit and a choreographed dance of stealth. Visiting Burma deepened my understanding of what the opposition movement was trying to change. In a country where poets are sent to jail, survival itself is a creative act of defiance. January 1995. The ABSDF in Karen defended their bases along the border against a major Slork offensive. Everyone in Tin Ong's camp was forced to run from their homes. I went to see if they were all right and found them sleeping in a makeshift shelter in the jungle while they built a new camp from scratch. The twins were both sick with malaria, and there wasn't enough medicine.
Tracy get the malaria and very high fever, so she fits. Now this time they move. My very happily for my family. Yeah, very difficult. Yes. Now they move this place not see, so other side they move.
Why? I don't know about that. We can move, I think. Our future not so good in the Thai area. But I hope so. We are not refugees. We are the revolutionary soldier. We are not refugees.
The student headquarters fell to the Slork days before. They were holding out at a temporary outpost along the river. I saw Chate again, who'd grown up a lot since our last meeting. He was helping the ABSDF salvage their weapons in preparation for the Slork's final offensive. 3 men from Tin Ong's camp were killed during the attack. In the midst of fleeing to safety, they took time to honor them. All of the ABSDF families shared the little food they had for a communal feast in the jungle. I was moved by how they all pulled together and didn't allow the situation to break their spirit. They went back to their abandoned camp for the last time, and in the monastery that they'd built with such care, offered prayers of remembrance for their comrades who had died. Nainong, the boy I'd met before, was now 15. His family were in the same group that was moving to the new campsite. He still felt determined to fight, but had to help his mother and brothers through this crisis. Chaos swept the border as thousands of new refugees poured into Thailand. July 1995. Aung San Suu Kyi, the leader of Burma's democracy movement, was released after 6 years under house arrest. People at the border and inside the country had renewed hope from the visionary woman who'd drawn world attention to Burma when she received the Nobel Peace Prize. Anyone who attended her weekend talks took a risk just by being there, but her dynamism inspired them, and everywhere I went, people asked in hushed voices if I knew about their heroine, whom they simply called the Lady. I returned to Burma to meet her. Tin Aung asked me to give her a snapshot of the twins, whose Burmese names, Thindar and Thandar Suu Kyi, were chosen to honor her. I asked her what she thought about the young people at the border who had chosen to fight for change.
The view of the NLD is that only a political situation will bring happiness to the country in the long run, that one wants to set a precedent of solving political problems the political way instead of through the way of arms and violence. But we have always stood firmly by the view that we will never disown our young people, even those who have decided to take up arms, because we cannot guarantee their security. As we were not in a position to say, don't take up arms, work with us, we will guarantee that you will not be imprisoned, that you will not be tortured. We couldn't guarantee such a thing. So that is why we have never condemned them for the way that they have chosen. We understand why they have chosen this way, and we shall never disown them.
That's why I said to you, we are no retreat. We don't want to, no retreat, no surrender. We already gave for my country, to our life, to our age, to our experience, and to our educated. That's why we never surrender to the government.
Christmas, 1995. Tin Aung left the jungle because the twins desperately needed medical care in Thailand. The doctors said it was a miracle that Tracy had survived a near-fatal case of malaria. Sometimes a miracle goes a long way. This was Tin Aung's first Christmas. Months earlier, he rang me to talk about his future. He'd just found out that his mother died, and he felt like a door to his home had been closed forever. He hung up the phone when he got emotional. Christmas with friends lifted his spirits, but I knew he was making a critical decision: to return to the revolution or do what for him had been unthinkable, leave his comrades and apply to be a refugee in another country. He wasn't making decisions for himself anymore, but for the lives of his daughters.
It is Aung San Suu Kyi, you know, Aung San Suu Kyi. From Burma, brave, very brave, strongest in Burma. She said, my people want democracy. I love. It is on the back side. We have only just we have only just begun. I love this one. Trust this one. Couple of days.
You would find that the young people who have fled across the border are a mixture of those who have come to realize the injustice of the situation through their own personal experiences, and there are those who are aware of the fact that the general situation is such that there can never be peace and justice in Burma unless there's a change in the system.
Burma is a situation where there's an army of occupation, the SLORC. No one supports them. It's simply an invading army trying to wipe out large portions of the population and control the country. Burma is not a political fighting ground. Burma is a village on fire.